Where you live matters, but who you live with after 70, that can change everything. You see, after 70, it's not just about location, comfort, or affordability. It's about energy. It's about peace. It's about who fills the room with warmth and who quietly drains it without a word. There comes a time in life when your health, mood, and even how long you live depends less on medication and more on the presence of the people around you. Because one kind soul can help you feel young again, while the wrong one can quietly chip away at your spirit. In today's video, we'll uncover the 5 types of people you should consider living with after 70, not just for comfort, but for happiness, healing, and longevity. So let's begin. This isn't just about housing. It's about health, happiness, and living with dignity. I recently sat down with a 92-year-old elder named Mr. Raymond, a retired teacher, grandfather of 8, and someone whose quiet wisdom holds more truth than any textbook ever could. When I asked him the secret to his long, peaceful life, he didn't mention doctors or diets. He simply said, live with someone who protects your peace, and you'll live longer without even realizing it. That single sentence inspired this video, because after 70, who you live with matters more than you might think, not just for day-to-day ease, but for your emotional health, immune system, memory, and yes, even your lifespan. This isn't about convenience or who pays the bills or who has an extra room. It's about choosing people who nurture your spirit, who lift you up instead of wearing you down, who create an atmosphere where you can truly breathe, rest, and feel seen. In this video, we'll explore 5 types of people seniors over 70 should consider living with, based on emotional wellness, longevity, peace of mind, and dignity. And you might be surprised, because sometimes the person who keeps you healthiest isn't the one who cooks or cleans, but the one who truly understands your soul. Let's begin with the first one. Begin with the first. Pranayun. Richard one the listener, because feeling heard heals more than you know. If you're wondering who to live with after 70, start with someone who knows how to listen. Not just nodding along, but really listening. The kind of person who puts their phone down, looks you in the eye and says, "Tell me more." This may sound simple, but for older adults facing loneliness, it's transformative. Because something profound happens when you're heard. Your mind relaxes, your emotions settle, your entire nervous system sighs in relief, as if to say, I still matter. Let me tell you a short story. There's a woman named Evelyn, 92 years old, widowed for over 2 decades. She once told her doctor, "It wasn't medicine that kept me alive. It was my granddaughter's ears." She lived with her for the last 15 years, and every night after dinner they sat by the window and just talked. Not about anything urgent, just memories, feelings, the weather. But that time, that listening, it kept Evelyn's heart light and her mind sharp, and science agrees. Researchers at Johns Hopkins found that older adults who regularly engage in meaningful conversations have lower rates of depression, better memory retention, and improved emotional resilience. In fact, emotional wellness for seniors often begins not with therapy, but with someone who simply makes room for your voice. Because after 70, what you say isn't as important as knowing someone wants to hear it. So ask yourself, are you living with someone who talks over you, or someone who leans in and listens? If it's the second, you may have found more than a roommate. You found a healer. Trigger 2, the encourager, someone who still sees your spark. There's something deeply healing about living with someone who sees who you are now, not just who you used to be. After 70, when many people assume you're slowing down, fading out, or just managing, the right person can help you come alive again. Not by force, but by faith. They don't treat you like you're fragile. They treat you like you're full of possibility. This is the kind of positive influence after 70 that research keeps pointing to. One study published in the Journal of Aging and Health showed that older adults who feel encouraged and emotionally supported by those they live with have better mental health, greater life satisfaction, and are more likely to stay physically active. Why? Because encouragement feeds purpose in old age. Let me paint a picture. There's a man named Clarence, 76, retired, quiet. Used to love painting but hadn't picked up a brush in 10 years. Then his nephew moved in temporarily. One day, the young man left a small canvas and a few paints on the table, saying nothing more than, "You're still the best artist I know." It was enough. By the end of the week, Clarence was painting again. By the end of the month, he was smiling again. And by the end of the year, he was teaching his grandkids how to hold a brush. That's the power of mental health in aging. It's not always about medication or meditation. Sometimes it's about someone who reminds you that there's still a spark inside, and it's still worth lighting. So ask yourself, does the person you live with lift your spirit? Do they reflect the best in you, even when you forget it's there? If so, you're not just aging well, you're living with hope. Which one resonated so far? The listener or the encourager? Comment one or two below. We're just getting started, but your comment helps us understand what you value most in this stage of life. Thusser 3. The gentle companion. Because sometimes peace is the best medicine. Not every relationship after 70 needs to be filled with constant conversation, advice, or activity. In fact, for many older adults, what they truly long for isn't noise, but peace. That's where the gentle companion comes in. This is the person who brings comfort through quiet presence. Someone who doesn't need to fill the air with chatter, who doesn't pressure you to talk or perform, but who simply shares space with kindness. They might sit next to you during your morning tea, take quiet evening walks, or read while you doze. No judgment, no demands, just calm togetherness. And science is clear. This kind of gentle companionship does more than soothe the soul. It literally heals the body. Studies show that seniors who live in low-stress, peaceful environments with steady companionship have lower cortisol levels, reduced inflammation, and better heart health. It also helps with better sleep, improved emotional regulation, and even lowers the risk of late-life anxiety or depression. Let me tell you about Frank and George, two widowers in their late 70s who decided to rent a small house together after both lost their spouses. They didn't set out to fix each other's grief or fill each other's days. They just wanted quiet company, and what they found was something beautiful. Every morning they sat on the porch together, barely speaking. Maybe a nod, maybe a nice weather today. But the routine, the silence, and the shared presence gave them something profound, a sense of not being alone. Frank once said, "We don't talk much, but I always know someone's there. That's enough." Because sometimes being seen and accepted in stillness is more healing than any words. So if you're thinking about who to live with after 70, ask yourself, who makes you feel calm? Who doesn't demand but gently stays? That person, the gentle companion, can bring a kind of peace that medicine can't provide. 4. The practical helper. The person who makes life easier without making you feel weak. There's a delicate balance that every senior desires after 70. Support without surrendering independence. The practical helper is that rare kind of person who offers assistance without making you feel like a burden. Someone who steps in when needed, but never steps over your boundaries. They understand that after a lifetime of doing things your own way, it's not easy to ask for help. So instead of taking over, they offer gentle reinforcement, quietly supporting your autonomy. This could be someone who changes the light bulbs before you even notice they're out, drives you to appointments without making a big deal of it, helps with groceries, tech, or errands, but always asks first, never assumes, and most importantly, they know the difference between helping and hovering. From a health perspective, this kind of support plays a powerful role. According to research on aging at home support, seniors with practical, low-stress assistance are more likely to maintain their independence longer, avoid preventable falls and injuries, experience better mental health outcomes, and reduce their risk of caregiver burnout when families involved. Now let me share a story about Marjorie, 84, who had been living alone and fiercely independent all her life. But when arthritis began to make daily tasks harder, she found herself constantly frustrated, not because she couldn't do things, but because she couldn't do them without pain. Her neighbor's daughter, Lena, started dropping by once or twice a week. She didn't barge in or treat Marjorie like a child. She simply asked, Need help with anything small today? Sometimes it was sorting medications. Sometimes it was moving heavy pots. But every time Lena let Marjorie lead. And over time, that small support gave Marjorie the freedom to enjoy her days again, not just endure them. She made life easier, Marjorie said, but she never made me feel small. Because real support at this age isn't about doing everything for you. It's about making it easier for you to keep doing the things that matter. So when considering who to live with after 70, ask yourself, who respects your pace, your pride, and your process? Because the right helper doesn't take over your life. They help you keep living it on your terms. 5. The positive soul. Because optimism is contagious. After 70, life brings its share of aches, changes, and farewells. But the presence of one kind of person can make all the difference. The positive soul. This is someone who doesn't just visit with a smile. They carry light, warmth, and resilience wherever they go. They're the person who, even when things are tough, finds a reason to say, "We'll get through this." They don't deny reality. They just choose not to be consumed by it. And that mindset is powerful medicine. Research consistently shows that seniors who regularly interact with positive, emotionally stable individuals experience improved mental clarity, lower blood pressure and inflammation, reduced risk of depression and anxiety, better sleep, and stronger immune responses. According to a 2025 study on emotional health after 70, older adults exposed to optimism and laughter in daily life actually had longer telomeres. The biological markers linked to slower aging. In simple terms, positivity doesn't just feel good, it helps you age better. Let's bring this to life with a story. Meet Dolores, 86, who had spent years feeling like her best days were behind her. She'd lost her husband, had grown distant from family, and rarely left the house. But then she reconnected with an old church friend, Evelyn, who had recently moved into her neighborhood. Evelyn was the definition of a positive soul, not bubbly or loud, but gently joyful. She showed up every Sunday with fresh flowers or a silly newspaper clipping. She brought energy without pressure and laughter without effort. "I didn't realize how gray my world had gotten," Dolores later said. "But every time Evelyn came over, it was like the windows opened again." Because here's the truth, joy is contagious. When you share a home, or even regular time, with someone who sees beauty in aging, it shifts your lens too. The lines on your face become stories, not flaws. The quiet mornings become sacred, not lonely. Aging becomes a continuation, not a closing. So when you're thinking about who to live with after 70, don't just look for help. Look for hope. Ask yourself, does this person bring ease to my heart? Do I feel lighter after talking to them? Do they remind me, just by being themselves, that life still holds joy? Because the positive soul doesn't need to fix your problems. They remind you you're still allowed to smile, dream, and laugh. Even now. And sometimes that's the most healing thing of all. Aging isn't just about where you live. It's about who you share it with. Peace is more valuable than pride. Choose the people who make aging feel like living, not just surviving. As we grow older, life gently begins to strip away the things that once seemed urgent. Careers, ambitions, noise. But it also brings into sharp focus what truly matters. Who sits beside you during dinner? Who listens when your voice shakes? And who still sees you as whole? After 70, the world may slow down. Your body may ache. Plans might change. But peace, connection, the feeling of being valued, those things should only deepen. This video wasn't just about living arrangements. It was about the kind of people who turn a house into a safe haven, who make each day feel less like enduring and more like embracing. Whether it's a gentle companion who lets you rest in silence, an encourager who brings you back to life, or a positive soul who lights up the room just by entering. These are the people worth sharing your final chapters with. Because aging isn't the end of the story. It's a quieter, deeper part of the book, where the words matter more, the pauses grow meaningful, and the company you keep becomes everything. So when you think about where you'll live, think first about who helps you feel most alive. Not just who's available, but who's present. Not just who checks the boxes, but who checks on your heart. You've earned this stage of life. Fill it with people who honor it. Choose the people who make aging feel like living, not just surviving. Who in your life brings you peace or encouragement? Tell us in the comments, and subscribe if you believe seniors deserve to age with dignity and joy. Before you go, take a moment to reflect. Who in your life brings you calm when the world feels heavy? Who encourages you to keep going, to laugh again, or simply be yourself? Drop their name or their role in the comments below. It might be a grandchild, a neighbor, a friend, or even a quiet roommate who never asked too much. Let's celebrate those people together. And if you believe, truly believe, that seniors deserve to age with dignity, warmth, and meaning, hit that subscribe button. Join our growing community of wise hearts and compassionate souls, because